As of this video, Geometry Dash 2.2 has been out for exactly 2 years. Kind of. Yeah, I'm doing this bit again, but basically, I have started the 12 reviews of Christmas this year, and I plan on doing those every year as well, and I don't really want that series to conflict with this series based off stuff like upload date, and so I've just decided to move this to New Year's Eve, which brings me into the second reason I've done this. I actually think this series works extremely well as a New Year's Eve special, so I'm gonna be doing that from now on. I just think it's a cool idea. So yeah, I hope that makes sense, but honestly, that makes things easier for everybody, and I mean, I know that it's a bit weird that 2 years in doesn't release on the exact 2-year anniversary, but hey, I think that this fits a lot more cleanly upload-wise. For what it's worth, I'm actually recording this on December 9th. I don't know if me recording this early and releasing it late makes it better or worse, but hey, you decide. That actually brings me into kind of my first topic, sort of a topic 0, if you will. It doesn't really feel like that much has happened this year. Now, don't get me wrong, I've been keeping notes throughout the entire year, trying to keep track of the things I would want to talk about, which is also nice because there's things on here that I definitely would have forgotten to talk about if I didn't put them on here. Stuff like talking about the Space Gauntlet, I don't think I would have ever thought to bring that up, so it's a good thing I've kept a list, but even though I do have a decently long list of things I want to talk about, in reality, it feels like not that much happened this year. I don't really want to talk much about this right now because it's going to come up later in the video, but realistically, I think the reason not much has happened this year is because Rob is working on the next update. That's my theory. I don't know what's going on with the next update, but again, I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll talk about that when we get to it. For now, let's just get into the video. I'd like to open this video with a topic that I view as pretty important to the overall video, and it's more a disclaimer than anything, but it's also me kind of calling out the no-name, no-platform commenters you would see on the bottom of a reply chain on a tweet and stuff like that. And I know you're not supposed to reply to the comments, right? Rule 1 of the internet. This is something I just want to say to everybody in the GD community, like the whole community. Coding a game is hard, okay? It is hard to develop a video game. Even small indie games can take developers years, and for the record, RobTop is not the only dev that can take fucking eternities to develop their game. Look at how long it took for Hollow Knight Silksong to come out. Look at how long it's taking for Balatro to get a content update. It just takes time. Games are not easy to develop, because not only do you have to develop the features, which is hard in and of itself, you have to make sure that the features work and don't contradict with all the other features in the game, and then you have to consider whether or not the feature you just added makes other features worse or conflicts with other features. And on top of all of that, coding is tedious and hard. Even if you enjoy it, you have to admit it takes time to develop software. So while I will be criticizing aspects of the update, talking about things that I think need to be improved, and even suggesting things that should be added to the game, just like last year, I want to stress that I am not going to engage in any of this childish RobTop is a bad developer narrative, because anyone who pushes that narrative does not understand software development and how hard this shit is, especially with a game like Geometry Dash where the developer took 7 years to release an update and now suddenly needs to update the game on a regular basis. It's not easy, and I have no interest in pushing this stupid fucking narrative.
RobTop, you fucking piece of shit. How dare you break my favorite level in the whole game? I'll have you know your dog shit coding added a single frame perfect to the slaughterhouse ball. I don't care if the level was originally considered impossible and already has 30 frame perfects. 31 frame perfects is way too many. I can't even count past 30. I may not be able to beat Clubstep, but you adding a frame perfect to Slaughterhouse personally affects me. Mommy only lets me use my iPad for an hour a day, so if I don't get to see my favorite streamer, definitely not a pedophile 420, play Slaughterhouse, I'm going to see to it that your house gets struck by 1,000 nukes. Anything easier than Sonic Wave is worthless to me because it's too boring, and I have the attention span of a child with ADHD drinking Prime Energy with their lunch late. Update the game and fix all 500 bugs before I personally get my dad to take your game off the Google Play Store. He works at both Microsoft and Google. And don't you dare tweet saying adding a frame perfect to Slaughterhouse is not a big deal. I will personally ensure that the wrath of every Twitter user is unleashed onto your DMs and that you get so many death threats that it will make Charlie Kirk look alive in comparison.
Why don't you just play another level, you know, until this one gets fixed? Yeah, see, this is the kind of dumb bullshit that I refuse to engage in. I'm not gonna be one of those people, because I think that shit is fucking cringe, so... I might criticize some things about the game. I realistically am doing it out of love for the game, and not because I think Rob Top is a bad dev. I think the only thing Rob Top is doing wrong is not hiring people to help him, which I feel like most people could agree with. Anyways, with all that being said, let's get into the rest of the video. In last year's video, I went on a pretty large rant about how bad the new ship physics are in 2.2. To recap and explain what's wrong with them very briefly, basically, in 2.1 there was a bug that made it so that the dual ship and the upside down ship were heavier than the normal ship, making the physics very inconsistent. The thing is, most players would end up getting used to the heavy physics, and therefore they kind of just got it in their muscle memory where they had to click a little bit harder, and therefore when Rob fixed this bug in 2.2, it was a bit of a learning curve, because a lot of people would try to control the new upside down ship physics, and the ship would just gradually climb down the screen, which made it a bit hard to get used to the ship physics. On paper, that wouldn't be a bad thing, just be a bit of a learning curve and you'd get over it over time, but the big problem is that these new ship physics were not universal. They only applied on new levels where the creator did not disable them. Most levels had the old ship physics, and the big problem with this was that if you played a new level, it was basically just a 50-50 chance it would have the new or old ship physics, and it made sight reading and star grinding a fucking nightmare. And if you were used to the old ship physics, coming across the new ship physics could actually just make a level unplayable, because on top of needing to learn the level, you needed to, on the fly, adapt to the new ship physics. And if you did eventually get used to the new ship physics, you would now have that problem with the old ship physics, which were more common, where suddenly the old ship physics felt wrong. And just in general, it's this big mess, and that's what I complained about last year. This year, I still think that complaint is valid. However, someone actually brought something up to me in the Hard Demon List Discord, and I feel like it is legitimately worth pointing out. Basically, in the original video, I said something along the lines of, I don't even get why Rob fixed the ship physics. Now I do. To properly explain, I can't just simply record and talk. I need to do a on-hand live example, so allow me to do that right now. Okay, so let's say you're building a new level and you haven't encountered the new ship physics before, and you decide to go to the old ones because you don't like it. You might run into a situation like this where you go through the portal and you're like, ew, the new ship physics, these feel weird. I'm like going towards the ground here. I actually have to force myself to do this now, by the way, like as just like a side tangent. I've actually gotten used to the new ship physics, so I can fly straight with them now. But ignoring that, like, let's just say you're doing that, right? Like, you're doing the thing, and it's like, ew, these feel weird. I'm climbing down the screen, this doesn't feel natural. So you might be tempted to go in, go to options, go to the options within the options, and then fix gravity bug. And now, you have the old ship physics, right? Cool, you know, that's good. Except, now let's say you're building a level, and you decide to mess with camera controls. So you go ahead, you go to triggers, and you decide you want to rotate the camera. So I'll put this here, and let's go ahead and let's rotate the camera. So now our rotate trigger rotates the camera 180 degrees, making the decoration upside down. You might want to do this for different decoration effects or what have you, right? There are many cases where you'd flip the screen upside down instead of the player. So let's say you do something like that, right? Well, now, when you do this combined with the old ship physics, what we're gonna have is a situation where you are upside down, but it looks like you're not. And this means you're gonna have the bugged ship physics upside down, which is gonna feel fucking horrible. If you thought using the new upside-down ship physics felt odd when you weren't used to them, try using the bugged upside-down ship physics when it looks like your normal gravity. This is fucking horrible. And so that kind of shows why Rob needed to fix it. And obviously the old ship physics need to exist too as a legacy option, because there are some levels that would not work without them. So Rob kinda had to do this. We had to have both. It sucks to admit, but yes, Rob absolutely needed to fix the ship physics and do exactly what he did. I do, however, still have some constructive criticism. A lot of changes Rob made when he released 2.2 broke a lot of levels, which in and of itself is fine as long as those levels get fixed. Under that logic, I don't understand why Rob couldn't just update old levels to have the new ship physics, since most creators probably didn't intend for them to have bugged physics anyway. I don't get why Rob couldn't go back, update them to have the new ship physics, and then change them later. You know what I mean? Like, fix them with the legacy settings later after people realize they needed it or whatever. Because what pains me about this the most is that there are a bunch of old levels that would absolutely benefit from having the new ship physics. Take the ultimate phase, for example. Crack's part in the ultimate phase is a fucking pain in the ass because you're a dual half-speed mini-ship, and because of the ship physics bug, this controls like ass. Changing levels like this to have the new ship physics and only going through and enabling the legacy options if a level breaks, in my opinion, just seems like a much better option. But at the same time, I don't know how the GD community would react to that because of the stink that everyone's made whenever the mods go in and fix a level. Maybe this situation just sucks no matter how you approach it. Like, maybe no matter what you do in regards to the new ship physics, there will always be like a large group of people who are mad about it. And I guess if you can't please anyone, just kind of fixing it and calling it a day is kind of whatever. So I guess my new updated opinion on the 2.2 ship physics is a confused shrug. I don't know what the fuck I would do in this situation with what I know now. Well, I do. It'd be say fuck what other people think and just give old levels the new ship physics, because here's the other thing I want to say. When you get used to them, the new upside down ship physics are genuinely better. They're more comfortable, and I don't know, I feel like they make a lot more sense. 99% of rated levels don't use them, so fucking, I don't know, man. Throwing this in quickly, but I did just think about something while editing this video. Why doesn't Rob just make it a toggle in the settings? I feel like giving the player the ability to switch between old and new ship physics on a whim whenever they want would be probably the best case scenario. I feel like if you could go into the options and enable legacy ship physics for any level, that would immediately solve the problem, because then what you could do is you could default it to the new ship physics, and if a level breaks or a player doesn't like them, they could just go into the options and disable them. And if disabling them and using old ship physics causes issues on a 2.2 level, like I demonstrated with the camera control issue, then they could just go through and re-enable them. I feel like, Rob, it's not too late. You should do that. You should add a player-controlled toggle somewhere in the options to let the player disable and enable legacy ship physics, because that would solve this entire problem. Really brief point here, but I do want to talk about the fact that, in my opinion, event levels have gotten significantly better within the last year. Throughout all the first year of 2.1, all of the event levels we got were for the NCS event, and a lot of them weren't that good. Now, don't get me wrong, some of them were pretty good. Skyline Part 2, Ruins by Grax, Button Masher by Viprin, these were all very good levels, and I am a huge fan of them, especially Button Masher. I don't know what it is, but Button Masher just ended up being such a blast to me. I had so much fun with it. And on the other hand, though, you had levels like Noelle Electra. Noelle Electra, I think, is one of the worst rated levels in the game, which is very disappointing coming from Serpunge. But for those of you who remember my 2.2 1 year in video, you remember I made a big fuss about how I didn't even know what event levels were, because I thought event levels was basically just going to be Rob Top spotlighting levels that he thought thought were the cool thing that the community was making. Either it would be him platforming something he thought was cool, or it would be him platforming something that everybody was playing, like this is the community event. And while it didn't really end up being either of those things, I wasn't really disappointed that it wasn't those things. I was disappointed that initially on year one, it felt like it was really just there to advertise whatever Rob Top was doing. Like, oh cool, there's a brand deal with NCS, so the events are all gonna advertise the brand deal. Alright, that's all, I guess. But thankfully, that is not what it stayed. As pretty much the moment year 2 started, we started to get some insanely good levels as the event, and it really did just start to feel like Rob would basically spotlight this huge, big project that came from big creators. Unfortunately, year 2 did start with a pretty bad event level. We got Heave Ho by Magpipe, which I think is a pretty bad level, all things considered. I just don't like it. Although, take that with a grain of salt, because I beat it before any of the major updates, so maybe when I rebeat it for the rebeat arc, I'll end up enjoying it more. Who knows? But whatever the case, I didn't like this level. But after we got Heave Ho, everything that came after that was a fucking banger. GD Gangster Rap, Backbeat Revenge, Space Invaders, Funhouse, Eat a Carnus, Stronghold, all fucking bangers. These are all of the events we got this year, and not a single one of them missed. I think that GD Gangster Rap is one of the best April Fool's events that the GD community has pulled, counting every YouTuber's upload, every single thing that has ever been done by any YouTuber. The only thing that rivals it is maybe Mindcap's Cake level, because Cake level is ridiculously funny, but GD Gangster Rap, in my opinion, is one of the best April Fool's levels, because you can play it or look at it out of season on its own, just like ignoring that it's an April Fool's joke, and it stands up pretty well as its own normal level. Like, yeah, it's obviously a joke, like, haha, funny, cringe, Geometry Dash rap song. It's genuinely well made, it's got a really good, like, sense of humor, and the gameplay is genuinely fun. Like, there is nothing bad about it. GD Gangster Rap is a fucking amazing level. Like, if I had to nitpick, I'm not a fan of the fact that it's XL. Rob had a bit of an obsession with XLs towards the beginning of 2.2, and it didn't really stop until about halfway through year 2. I don't know why, but it felt like, especially with the gauntlets, oh my god, Rob added so many XLs to the gauntlets, it's not even funny. So I think I just got kind of sick of the XLs, but ignoring the fact that GD Gangster Rap is an XL, I think that it is fantastic. You have Backbeat Revenge, which I just reviewed for the 12 reviews of Christmas, Space Invaders, which, okay, I gotta be real, I have yet to beat Space Invaders. I can't talk on this one, but it looks cool. Funhouse by Rafer. I usually don't really like Rafer's levels, to be honest, because I don't like the way Rafer does their coins, mainly just because their coins can be intrusive if you decide to not take the coin paths, which is something you'd want to do when Rafer's coin paths are as complicated as they are. Funhouse specifically, that's not an issue, because the coins, while being Rafer coins and overly complicated, are out of the way enough to where that doesn't end up being annoying. They're fine. I don't care. And Funhouse is really cool. It's got a really good sense of humor, it's got a really good theme. I like the little guy that you're feuding with the whole time, the little game show host guy. It's really cool. This level has an energy to it that I like. Eat a Carnus is one of the most horrifying GD levels to me. Like actually, this is the first classic that made me feel legitimately unnerved. I wasn't scared, really, but I was unnerved. The art in this level is legitimately... Like my skin was crawling. It's not comfortable to look at, but that's, like, it's effective, it's good. And the gameplay's not bad either. In fact, I'd argue that for a 6-star, Eat a Carnus is kind of easy. Stronghold, okay, I gotta be real. I don't know about this one either. I did beat this one, but it's stick fight themed, and I mean, I'm indifferent to stick fights. I don't hate them. I've seen a lot of, like, Alan Becker's animator versus animation and all that, but I mean, I'm not huge on them. I think they're kind of cool. I don't know. This one, it's well made. I will just stop at saying it is well made. The gameplay is good. I don't have any strong feelings on it. But even the levels I don't have strong feelings on are well made. They just don't specifically hit for me. And I think that it is insane that event levels have rebounded so fucking hard from the NCS event, where, I'm gonna be real, I could give two shits less, to the second year of event levels where we've legitimately just gotten banger after banger after banger. It is insane. I am very, very shocked that the second year of event levels ended up being so fucking good. Of course, you may have noticed that there's a specific event level that I decided not to talk about, and that's because it is the next section of this video. Out of every event level, Skeletal Shenanigans is the one you're most likely to have seen, and that's for good reason. First of all, this level is genuinely really good. The animations are really good, the gameplay is really good. There are some questionable bits in it. I think that the spider at the end is a little stiff and not very fun to play, but ignoring that, the gameplay is good. The boss fight is really fucking cool with this screen wrapping gimmick. It's a cool level. That being said, there's one thing about this level that rubs me the wrong way. This level was the longest standing event level so far, if I'm not mistaken, and an unintended consequence of that is that this level being pushed as the event level for as long as it was led to this level artificially becoming the most downloaded medium demon by quite a bit, and I don't know how to feel about that. It's just weird, because while I like this level, it has legitimate problems, and I just think that this level surpassing Serious by Funny Game and Theory of Skrillex kind of rubs my old gen brain the wrong way. Like, it bugs me a lot. It's weird because a part of me cares a lot, but also I don't know if I should care, because who cares what the most downloaded medium demon is, or the most liked medium demon is? It's weird. I don't know how I feel about it. I hope that Rob is careful to cycle out event levels on a regular basis so this doesn't happen again. But, like, I don't think I care. But I also care. So I don't know. Very weird, conflicting levels of how much do I give a fuck. Admittedly, yeah, it does bother me that this level was the most downloaded level for as long as it was, and yeah, I don't know. Weird. This is one of those ones where that disclaimer at the beginning about how I refuse to push the narrative that Rob is a bad dev is important, because a lot of people say what I'm about to say, but more with the air of 2.2 is bad and Rob Dopp's a bad dev, and I disagree. I do. I don't think Rob is a bad dev. I don't think 2.2 is bad. I have kind of a different perspective on a similar opinion, and my main thing is I feel like the game really doesn't need major content updates anymore. I feel like we have everything we need. I obviously don't mind getting content updates. Need and want are two different things, but I just feel like we don't need major content updates anymore. The thing about 2.1 is you could have argued that was the case in 2.1. Update 2.1, people started making basically everything. I mean, What by Sputniks was made in 2.1. 2.1 had major performance issues, it was buggy, the game would crash constantly. Just try to open a level with more than 200,000 objects in the editor, it will not go well. So, you know, having 2.2 fix all the performance issues and make the game run better and give it 64-bit support and all that stuff, 2.2 and its micro updates did feel very necessary. But now that we have all of that, it feels like we're at this major crossroads where we don't really need anything. Like, we're living in 2.1 Deluxe. Like, you could have argued in 2.1 anybody could have made anything, but especially now in 2.2, anybody can make anything. Especially with the inclusion of platformer mode, the sky is the limit. It really feels like you can just make anything. Like, I've seen people remake other video games in GD, and I've seen people make some crazy shit in general, and I just don't think we need another update. It's kind of insane just how much we have at this moment. Now again, would I like to see some updates? Of course. I think that fixing some of the 500 bugs would be a good start, but yeah, I don't think we absolutely need a big content update. I think the game is pretty good where it is, because from here on out, it's all superfluous. Like, I see people constantly be like, yo, we should add a new jump ring or a new portal, and it's like, but do we need that, though? Like, do we really? And a lot of times you question if it would even be a good feature in the first place. I mean, at the same time, Rob has said that he has ideas for other modes, so maybe, but I don't know. I just feel like the game is in a pretty steady place. Now, that being said, platformer mode, maybe platformer mode could get some more content. I am mainly talking about classics, I think, but even with platformer mode feels fine, so I don't know. Maybe keybind support? There really are only two major features that the game needs that come to mind. And if you've heard me talk at all within the past year about the features we don't have, this is probably not going to be a surprising thing for me to say. Please, just please add click between frames and platformer saves. I can't say this enough. This isn't a bit. This isn't me doing a funny meme, because I know this is an overly suggested thing and you're probably adding this anyways, but it can't be said enough. These are the most important things to add to the game right now. I'm not going to dwell on CBF that much, because I think at this point everything that needs to be said has been said. Platformer saves is actually the one that's more important to me, because I feel like platformer is specifically held back by the fact that there is no platformer saves. Platformer saves can be optional. It can be something the creator has to choose to enable on a checkpoint-to-checkpoint basis, and that's fine, but please give it to us as an option to put in our levels, because it would be so cool, not necessarily for the perspective of how playable it makes existing levels, although if it gets added, please, the people who made Dead of Night, add it into Dead of Night, because I actually want to play Dead of Night, but I can't leave my PC running for like multiple days. It's not gonna happen, so yeah, please just put it in there. I want to beat Dead of Night. It's such a fucking good level. I want to beat it. I fucking love Dead of Night. Anyways, ignoring that, the main reason I want to see platformer saves added is actually because of what could be made if it was introduced in the game. A lot of platformer levels that are good feel like they're bordering on being full-fledged video games. I, through the Easy Demon platformer grind, have encountered levels that feel like full-on RPGs with an unlock system and multiple boss fights and crazy shit like that. Like, look at levels like Boss Rush 2. I feel like it would be very possible to actually make a full game within GD, like a full original game, if we could save our progress. I mean, I guess you could with like a master game password system, but nobody wants to do that, and also that technically adds a secret way to the level. I want to see a full-fledged saving system so that levels like Terminus can have their full potential seen. We could have full-fledged video games made by the community, made inside of GD. I think it would be huge. I think it'd be genuinely a big deal, and yeah, please add platformer saves, Rob. Genuinely. I think it's more important to me than CBF. I want to talk more about click between frames for a second, because the click between frames mod is in a weird position in the GD community, and there are a bunch of things that I want to get off my chest. Click between frames is a weird mod because it makes the game inherently better. Like, it's just better to play with CBF. However, there are moments where CBF actually does make some levels and some types of gameplay worse. It's a case-by-case basis, but basically there are some levels that are easier with CBF and some that are harder with CBF. That being said, that's not necessarily what I want to talk about. The thing about CBF is, at the moment, if you use it, it is cheating. I'm talking about leaderboard rules here. Don't get mad at me, top players. Basically, when you think about it, CBF is something you cannot access within the base game. Unlike 2.1 FPS bypass, where you could access it in the base game by just getting a better monitor, you can't access CBF in the base game, and therefore it is cheating. It will get you banned on the leaderboards, but I think most people can agree that it shouldn't be cheating, and as I said earlier, it should be added into the game officially. This is why you've been seeing a lot of content creators lately push for CBF so aggressively. Stuff like Doggy verifying grief with CBF, and Pointer Crate talking about allowing unrated levels verified with CBF onto the list. And I agree with this. I think that this push is very important, because even if RobTop doesn't add CBF, I agree with it just on the basis alone of a level being unrated should never affect whether or not you play it. Like, some of the most interesting levels, in my opinion, are unrated levels, and it's like, it doesn't have to be rated for it to be a big accomplishment. Fucking go for Grains of Sand or Bloody Knuckles, you know what I mean? You're still beating something ridiculously impressive, and just because it doesn't up your star count doesn't mean it matters. I put unrated demons on my demon spreadsheet for a reason. So regardless of how you slice it, I think playing with CBF, allowing CBF, I think it's generally just a good move, but again, if you are talking about competing with other star grinders and the in-game leaderboards and all that sort of stuff, it is just worth acknowledging that it's cheating. But it should be added into the game. It makes the game better. And I think with most people agreeing with that sentiment, can we talk about CBF blockers for a second? I'm gonna say this very, very bluntly. Stop putting CBF blockers in your levels. If your level has a CBF blocker, I would highly advise that you remove it. The reason being is CBF blockers are actively discouraging RobTop from adding CBF into the game, and that's not a good thing. I'm gonna lay this out very simply so that I'm not misunderstood, okay? So I'm gonna explain this very carefully. CBF blockers make levels impossible if you're using CBF. The community wants CBF added to the game. CBF blockers are in rated levels. Therefore, CBF cannot be added to the game, because if Rob adds CBF, it will make a bunch of rated levels impossible now. You guys shot yourself in the foot. Look, all I'm saying is, unless Rob makes it a toggle in the game settings where you can, like, enable or disable accurate physics or whatever, Rob can't do it now, because you guys have been adding CBF blockers to levels, which means Rob adding CBF would render levels impossible if he added CBF. Other than making CBF an optional thing you can toggle on and off, I don't really see any solution that fits nicely here. The only two actual solutions would piss people off, and the first is to unrate levels that have CBF blockers. This will piss people off for the valid reason of why would you rate them in the first place, and the other option is to update the levels or get the creator to update the levels to remove the CBF blocker, which will piss people off because of this community's attitude towards updating levels. So really, the CBF problem has gotten worse, and that's not good. So just please, if you put a CBF blocker in your level, do us all a favor and go ahead and remove it. Like, update your level and remove the CBF blocker, because that is fucking stupid. Alright, let's talk about the level quality in 2.2. I think it's good. Very simple. Just open this up with the fact that I think it's good. 2.2 levels have finally started to leave the era of, wow, look, it's a 2.2 feature, guys, and have calmed down and just started to focus on being good levels and that being it. Platformer levels are still gimmicky, but I don't think that'll go away for several years. The level quality for classics has definitely started to even out, though, because it feels like a lot of people are going back to the 2.1 mentality, and they're just making 2.1 levels with 2.2 features. When I say that, I don't mean they're making, like, Danalex levels with shader spam, although there are absolutely levels that are basically just Danalex levels with shader spam. No. What I mean is they're making 2.1 levels in the sense of they're making these extremely high-effort, insane projects similar to stuff like B by Motley Orc or Magma Bound, where it's just a very polished, very good-looking level. They're doing that, but just using 2.2 features in a lot of different ways. Like, a level that comes to mind for me immediately is One Bad Apple. One Bad Apple reminds me a lot of that Motley Orc style. It's a 2.2 level. I mean, it literally opens with a swing section, and it's got 2.2 gameplay, but it feels like something that would come out of 2.1, not in the quality sense, but in the creator and artistic approach. It feels like they don't care as much about cramming as much 2.2 shit into the level, more so they care about just making a good level. And I think that that's a very good thing, and because of that, the quality of 2.2 levels has generally gone up, which is a good thing. There are still some hiccups here and there, like, I do find that pretty much every swing section that I play just feels like it could have been a ship. Like, I do believe that the swing is a good game mode, and I feel like people just aren't using it properly, but because people aren't using it properly, a lot of swing sections at the moment just feel like ship sections with really overcomplicated controls. It's very annoying, because I think of a level like Vessel, right? Vessel's a fucking fantastic level. I love it to death, but you're telling me this swing section can't be done with a ship? I don't know, it just feels like the swing isn't being utilized very well. But yeah, I do generally feel like the level quality has gone up. Yeah, I don't really have that much to say in this section, so I'm going to keep this extremely brief. If you want to know what my thoughts about platformer mode are this year, go watch the section about platformer mode from 1 year in, because nothing has changed. It's the same. I will say it is just very funny how much I nailed it in 1 year in, because I just went back and listened to the whole thing about platformer mode from 1 year in. It's not different. It's the same. I agree with literally everything I said back then now, and it's crazy how everything is the exact same you know, with platformers being the extreme end of both sides, the idea that platformers are the best and worst levels I've ever played, and classics are just somewhere in the middle of that. Every single issue I brought up is still present, but every single good thing I brought up is still present. The one thing I will say, and this is something I do really want to focus on in this segment, is that the good platformer levels have gotten a lot better. Levels like Boss Rush 2 are fucking insane and deserve a lot more attention. I genuinely love them. They are so much fun. But other than that, I mean, my big thing with platformer mode is, other than us really needing platformer saves, we need more official content. We need another floor of the tower, and we need, assuming it's going to be like the gauntlets from platformers, I don't know if that's actually what it's going to be, but we'll find out whenever we get 2.21. The map. We need the map. We need some sort of, like, developer-approved, like, list of platformer levels. I feel like that would go a long way, and, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I nailed it earlier, too, though. I feel like platformer just needs platformer saves. That's all it needs. For the final topic of this video, I want to look to the future and talk specifically about a mod showcased in a video by Technical that is the most excited I've ever been for a GD mod, and it is Geometry Dash Ranked, or Geometry Dash Competitive. I don't know what they're actually titling the mod. But basically what this mod is it's a multiplayer mod that lets you compete with people to see who can either get the highest percentage or who can beat the level first. It's extremely cool. It's an extremely cool idea, and just looking at Technical showing off what's been made so far, it looks ridiculously well made and ridiculously cool. I want this mod in my hands right now, because if this mod comes out, well, expect me to stream this a lot and play this a lot, because this looks so fucking fun. I'm imagining, honestly, just how cool this will be for the beating every easy demon thing, because if you beat a demon for this competitive thing, because it doesn't really alter the gameplay at all, these are still legitimate completions, and even if you don't successfully beat a level, you could always just go back to it later, right? So I just feel like this would be a really fun way if you queued up to compete on easy demons. Imagine how fun that would be for my whole trying to beat every easy demon thing. That'd be fucking sick. And in general, I just think it's a really refreshing way to enjoy rated levels and pick them if you're doing some star grinding bullshit. Technical's video dropped like 3 months ago, and the moment I watched it, I immediately knew that I wanted to talk about it in 2 years in, so here it is. This is genuinely the most excited I've been for an upcoming mod in really ever. This is so fucking cool. Yeah, when this mod drops, expect me to play the shit out of this on stream. And that was Geometry Dash 2.2, 2 years in. And what I want you to take note of, now that we're reaching the end here, is how little new things I had to say. I had new things to say, the video wasn't worthless, I get that, but compared to last year, this video just doesn't really feel like I had as much to say, and that's because I really didn't. I don't know when Rob is planning on releasing an update. I'm actually recording this as of December 13th, 2025. In fact, who knows, maybe by the time this video goes up, the game has already received its update, I don't know. But as of recording this, it kind of just feels like until the game gets an update, this is how 2.2 is going to feel. Like, we have new stuff to talk about, but really, a lot of the good stuff that's been happening has just been that good levels are coming out, and that's it. Which is cool, but it's not a lot to talk about in the context of a video like this, and so, who knows? I'm not sure if I'll make another one of these next year. But I want to, and so let's hope enough new shit happens next year, but regardless, I don't know. I just feel like a lot of whether or not I make this video determines a lot of whether or not new and interesting things happen within the game and the community. That being said, I'm not going to drag this outro out for too long. I hope you all have a good New Year's, and yeah, let's hope 2026 is a good year.